How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
We got a call just basically that you were just reporting vehicles throughout the because that we're driving around on IBC.
Okay. What happened?
Sorry?
What happened? Yeah, what happened?
It was just that we had received a call that you were reporting vehicles while they were passing by the IBC.
Okay.
Are you from the area?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an idea on you just of this question that I can come up with?
This is a consensual encounter?
No, we actually got a call.
How come it's not consensual?
Well, because we had parties that were asking for me to check out with you.
Is there a crime being broken?
No, there isn't.
So it's consensual then, right?
Well, it's not consensual because if it was consensual, then that would be just me making contact with you without me being just dispatched to you.
Well, since there's not a crime, then you have no investigation, right?
No, it isn't. That's the reason why I'm here. I didn't know that you were standing behind the IBC bank.
Is suspicion of crime?
No, it's not.
So you have no reason to be here, right?
No, I do. I'm advising you that I got a call.
Oh, okay. So I think what you would do is make contact with them then.
No, because I don't know.
Oh. So you just got an anonymous call.
Yeah. Just this.
Okay. Well, I don't really give ID.
Well, you're required to right now because obviously I got a call. It's not a consensual encounter.
I'm only required to give ID. I believe it's 3802 penal code. I'm only required to give ID if I'm lawfully arrested. I'm not lawfully arrested.
Well, no. That's obviously if you're arrested, then yes.
Right.
Obviously you're required to give your information. But what I'm trying to make you understand is this isn't a
Alright guys, this one right here is a textbook example of confusion inside a badge. The interaction starts simple. Officers respond to a call about a man recording vehicles near a bank. No crime reported, no damage, no threat. Just a concerned citizen. But within seconds, the conversation shifts from casual contact to demands for identification. The citizen asks the critical question, is this a consensual encounter? One officer says no because they were dispatched. But here's the problem. Dispatch does not automatically create reasonable suspicion. If there's no crime, there's no detention. And if there's no detention, there's no lawful demand for ID. Yet somehow, the officer insists it isn't consensual. Right there, you see the misunderstanding begin.
Encounter. I just didn't drive by here and just say, hey, okay, let me check out this guy. That's not what happened.
Okay, so
I didn't know that you were out here.
You're right.
Okay?
So in terms of your investigation was a suspicious person.
Yeah, that's how the call came. And obviously you're not doing anything wrong. I mean, I can see that you're just standing here with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not. You know what I mean?
So
and
why
you're not
would-
in any trouble.
I mean, I wouldn't know that. If I surrender my Fourth Amendment, I could be wanted. Then I'd be surrender Fourth Amendment, then I could be in trouble. I'm just saying, in hypothetical scenarios, we watch cops all the time, right? It still comes on TV. When someone surrenders their Fourth Amendment, such as their ID, you guys run that through NCIS, and then you go, or ASIS, you're right, and you run their system, their information is look for warrants. So now they surrendered their Fourth Amendment, then they're subject to arrest.
Okay, so do you understand the reason why I'm here?
Yeah,
I
you're here.
totally understand that, but that would be like in a whole different circumstance, right? This isn't a traffic stop or anything like that.
Right.
It's not a casual encounter. You can just surrender your information. We did get a call that you were out here recording vehicles. Again, you're not committing any crime. The only thing is that I got dispatched here.
Okay. No rings, you're not married?
No.
Why not? No need to be? Oh, wow. Whew.
If you don't mind, I'll be out of your hair. It's kind of hot out here. You can continue.
It's a good shade. Look at this shade tree. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot assist you with your investigation. That's not my job. I'm not going to do that. So even identifying me will be assisting you with your investigation.
Well, the thing is that I don't know you personally.
You're not supposed to. I'm a private citizen.
Yeah, of course. So
Right.
what I'm saying is I got dispatched here.
Well, you got to
So
know.
it's not a consensual encounter, right? You do have to identify, is what I'm saying.
I don't have to identify.
Because it isn't a
How long you been an
consensual
officer?
encounter. A few years.
Few years. I got a question. This is hypothetical speaking. This is not, I'm not insinuating that this is a hypothetical conversation. When officers encounter a member of the public, and a member of the public explains to them their right. Okay.
I can hear you. I can
Oh.
multitask.
Okay. Name?
How's it going? Officer Miguel,
Badge number?
746.
747. What was your badge?
Now it gets interesting. The citizen calmly cites failure to identify law. explaining that ID is required only if lawfully arrested or detained under specific statutory authority. The officer pushes back, arguing that because she received a call, it changes the nature of the encounter. But that's not how constitutional law works. A call for service is not a substitute for reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. Even the officer admits multiple times, you're not committing a crime. Yet she still insists her ID is required. That contradiction is massive. You cannot simultaneously say someone is not breaking the law and then demand identification under threat of authority. That's where the Fourth Amendment kicks in. Protection from unreasonable seizures.
Okay, just like a hypothetical question. I'm not insinuating nothing, but when officers encounter a member of the public and the member of the public state their rights or a penal code, why do officers never think that they're police? Is it because there's a code of conduct that if you're a police, you wouldn't do this? If you're a police, you wouldn't be out here with a camera doing what you're doing. Is that like an internal thought process? Wow. So no one. So when I rewind this and play this, you're saying I gave an incomplete sentence?
That's not what I'm saying, sir.
Well, then why don't you know what I'm talking about?
So right now we're obviously you're going off topic, right?
I'm supposed to, because you have no reason to be here.
I do. I just explained that to you. We got a phone call, right? It's just somebody concerned. That's all it is, right?
And now you're here.
And now I'm here. So it's not a consensual encounter, like I mentioned. I just didn't drive by here and decide to talk to you.
You did.
I actually got up.
It's a little too loud for us to just go by and talk to you.
We just came into shift anyway, so.
Well, the reason I say you did is because no one gave you a citation of a law being broken or a policy being broken. Therefore, for you to drive past and observe, you observe the suspicious person, which is me. You see no crime. He was given no crime. And you observe the suspicious person, which is me. And since you observed the suspicious person,
Yeah, I got you. No, like
hey, y'all body cameras rolling?
yeah.
Okay.
Like she just finished explaining to you, we just got a call, right? You know, so whenever we get a call, you know, you're matching the description, we just, you know, come say what's up, right? Make sure you're good, you know what I mean?
But listen, I want to have a lower level conversation real quick. This is my hypothetical question. Why is it that when officers are called to the scene, even if it's not a crime, like what I'm doing right now, why is it that when you engage with a member of the public, when the member of the public state their rights, and if I state penal code, if I state case law, why is it that police officers never think, is he a police officer? It's almost like you guys just be like, he's not a lawyer, he's not a police officer, whatever he said.
Then a second officer steps in, and now you see something even more concerning. He acknowledges different legal standards: reasonable suspicion, probable cause, articulable suspicion. But when pressed on the actual penal code for requiring identification, he can't provide it clearly. Instead of correcting his partner's claim that ID is mandatory, he deflects. Maybe she sees something I don't. That's not clarity, that's uncertainty. And when two officers on the same scene disagree on whether ID is required, that's not minor confusion. That's a systemic problem. Law enforcement authority must be consistent and rooted in statute, not interpretation on the fly.
Why is it that type of like posture?
Yeah. No, I mean, we listen to people, right? It's part of our job. Every single day. When people are right, people are right. Oh, okay, you're right. You know what I mean?
Okay, now watch this. Is this a consensual encounter?
No, it's not.
Okay,
Just because it's a call for service.
right, because it's a call for service.
Yeah.
But when it's a call for service, you guys are here to enforce the law.
Not necessarily.
Then what else do you enforce?
So like reasonable suspicion, right?
What's reasonable?
Reasonable?
That's articulable reason
This is what a
suspicion.
reasonable person would believe. You know what I mean?
Is that a penal code reason?
It's in the penal code.
It says articulable suspicion that a crime is being committed or about to be committed.
I don't know the definition actually off the top of my head, right? But reasonable suspicion, probable cause, they're all different levels.
Right.
But like I said, call for service, usually just reasonable suspicion. You know what I mean? It's not probable cause, right? Like, it's
Right.
Probable cause.
So that's what probably cost me ID. But that's not what she's saying. We're still here because she's saying I have to ID.
Oh.
No. Yeah, she's officer in charge.
Yeah.
But you still have a duty to correct any erroneous mistakes. So right, so
I don't see any mistakes going on here. Right?
you just said I don't have the ID. I just told you she said I have to. Now you say you don't see a mistake?
Well, that's her call. Maybe she sees something that I don't.
I don't know what, like,
Yeah. How you doing?
You're gonna be good if we leave.
Yeah.
Look, like I mentioned before, you're not committing a crime, right? And you're obviously aware of that, right?
Right.
You obviously got concerned citizens. You're recording, right?
But no,
So-
you're nice. But my thing is this: when a member of the public engages with law enforcement, we should be able to give our understanding also in such a way to you guys shouldn't be in a hurry to leave. Because if it was a real investigation, if I was breaking the law, you guys would take your time to detail a police report. What they call them? Witnesses. You guys would take your time to get a full report.
So since our hands are limited, right? Like I mentioned earlier, with this concerned citizens, we don't have any information to go based on.
I know that, but I'm saying, like, since you don't have that,
We don't, and so that the call came out. Matching your description. You're obviously holding a camera. You're
Right.
recording. So that's all we have. That's all we have to work on right now. So that's why I'm making contact with you right now.
but for future reference, I just want you to know that is not enough to ID someone. And I think you know that.
The citizen then exposes the deeper issue, discretionary database checks. He explains how surrendering identification often leads to warrant checks through NCIC or state systems. The officer claims she would not have run it, only logged contact. But here's the question raised: how would any citizen know that beforehand? That uncertainty is exactly why constitutional protections exist. The Fourth Amendment is not about whether an officer intends to escalate, it's about whether the government has lawful grounds to compel information at all. Without reasonable suspicion of a crime, demanding ID becomes investigative fishing. And fishing expeditions are not constitutional policing.
I think you probably got to update it. I think
it makes it easier, right? And like I mentioned, you're not in any trouble, like you had mentioned. I'm trying to make contact with you. And
Right.
at the end of the day, I'm doing my job.
No, you are. But see,
Right.
part of your job is to enforce accurate law. If you're misinterpreting law, now you're violating someone's rights unknowingly. You can do it knowingly or unknowingly. Like this gentleman, when you went to the car, he said, "I did not have the ID." Now, that's counterproductive to what you said. So then when I told the gentleman, "Well, tell her that," then he said, "Well, it's not my stop." See, now we have a difference of understanding here. We got two law officers saying two different things. That is a problem. You should be on the same page. And then he said he doesn't know the exact penal code verbiage articulable suspicion. That's another bad thing, because you have to know that to make a proper investigation or proper arrest.
I don't know my business. Are you prior law? Or are you just something that you just study because you like it?
I'm definitely, I've been in government.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in government, and so.
Look, like I mentioned, you're not in any trouble, and you haven't committed a crime, right? Like I had mentioned before. You're gonna be good. We
But
won't have to
that's
be
not
caught
good
after.
enough,
Well, the thing is that
because you gave misinformation. You said I did not have the ID. Did you say that? And then when I said, "Well, tell her that," there's no proper cause. So then why did you say I have the ID?
Well, because it wasn't a casual encounter.
It just make it easy. That's not a legitimate circumstance. I want to know the right answer. So I'm trying to get you guys to get on the same page. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to know, why did you say I don't have the ID, and why are you saying I do have the
I
ID?
did get dispatched. He didn't get dispatched.
Doesn't matter. He's law enforcement.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he didn't roll my information. He didn't get dispatched. I have a call. Like I have an actual
This is
call.
her
that I-
responsibility.
I mean, there's always an officer in charge for any situation, but that doesn't mean you didn't know what's going on, right?
Like I mentioned, I did get it. I have a call was created for me to make contact with you. This isn't, like I mentioned, I just didn't casually drive up here and I was on the other side of town when this call came through.
Right.
So all I'm saying is,
Okay, let me ask you this: if I would have gave you my ID, would you have ran my name?
ran it.
Would you have ran it in the
No,
system?
I would have logged it in. Just that I made contact with you.
So you wouldn't have ran for warrants?
No, there's a difference. I can log it in that I made contact with you, and obviously you haven't committed a crime, and running it through the NCIC, TCIC.
Right.
Now, the tension shifts from legality to accountability. The citizen points out the contradiction. One officer says ID is required, the other says maybe not. One claims authority, the other distances himself. It's not my stop. But policing is collective responsibility on scene. If one officer asserts an incorrect legal standard and another stays silent, the violation doesn't disappear. It becomes shared. The citizen presses on penal code definitions again. When exactly must someone identify themselves? The officers drift back to reasonable suspicion, yet they've already admitted there is no crime. That circular reasoning exposes the flaw. Suspicion without criminal articulation is not enough.
You had mentioned it's totally different. I wouldn't have done that.
Now let me ask you this: how would a member of the public know when you're going to make that discretionary decision? But
Or you could have probably heard.
I've done it before. I've done it before, and I know. And that's the bad thing about law enforcement encounter. You know, when a member of the public says something that happened in the past, law enforcement says, "Well, that's a different situation." But when you guys encounter us, and you say, "Well, you could be doing this, you could be doing that," then we can say, "Well, that's a different situation." So it goes both ways, you know. Right.
Yeah, every situation is different. Unfortunately, we're here because, like I mentioned before, there's the call that I received, right? And that's basically, like I mentioned, you're not in any trouble or anything like that.
You guys got cards? Yeah. You can write the CAD number on there, this call for service number on there for me.
You want the CAD narrative?
Yeah. So you don't want to say you don't. So are you the kind of public official that don't correct their officers when they're wrong?
I don't know if you're right or wrong.
You don't know penal code?
I do.
What's penal code for ID?
For ID?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
What is the penal code for when a member of the public is required to identify themselves?
When they're suspected.
Right. Am I suspected of committing a crime? So
But
when,
like I said, we got reasonable suspicion, we got probable cause, we got mere suspicion.
all that is separate though.
Yeah. But you're rambling on about all these different things.
I'm rambling.
Yeah, you keep going different names.
Isn't that what you guys use to articulate an arrest or a citation? You use penal code, right? So when a member of the,
Citation code, citation,
or
yeah.
right, so when a member of the public brings up penal code, then they're rambling
Well, I mean, you don't really stay on one topic. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
because you guys have no reason to be here. So I have to use subject matter examples to get you guys to
Well,
understand.
it's actually just like we do have a reason to be here. That's because of the call.
Now,
That doesn't mean we're, telling you, hey, you're committing a crime or whatever, right? But it's just a concerned citizen, right? Our citizens are responsible.
you're Daffy Duck. You need to touch up on your law and your fundamentals because you are a casualty to the city, and you, by the way you interpret things, it's not good for law enforcement.
Well, the case number, how much that you got is just the CAD
It's information. If you guys are here on an information call.
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
No.
Alright.
All right.
Be safe.
Hey, and always remember, every member of the public could be an FBI agent. They could be anybody. So when you give inaccurate representations of the law, you're opening yourself up to situations and circumstances. And we don't want to do that because the taxpayers have nothing to do with it. Okay. You too.
By the end, no citation is issued, no detention, no arrest. The officers disengage. But the damage is informational, not physical. The encounter reveals how easily constitutional boundaries can blur when officers rely on dispatch language instead of statutory thresholds. A concerned citizen call does not erase the Fourth Amendment. Recording in public is not suspicious by default. And disagreement between officers on ID requirements shows why citizens must understand the law themselves. Because at the end of the day, rights are strongest when exercised calmly and confidently. And confusion inside authority should never become pressure on freedom.